Good morning, church family. Today we're continuing through our daily Devo series, and we have been jumping through key moments of all of Scripture. And we're currently in the Old Testament, currently in Genesis. And so now we're moving on from Abraham to not his son Isaac, but even a step further, Jacob. So we see Isaac, the son of Abraham, continues to experience the faithfulness of God, continues to experience his goodness, grows up, finds himself a wife in Rebekah, and they have two sons, Jacob and Esau. And we know from the start, even before their birth, it was revealed to Rebekah that her two sons would come to represent two rival nations, and that they would clash. There would be some conflict between the two. And then, for those of us who are familiar with the story, we see Jacob and Esau grow up. We see them being very different in demeanor and appearance. And we see it gets to the point where Esau, who was the firstborn, the one who by tradition, by order of things, would have received the birthright, would have received the inheritance of Isaac, and thus would have been the one through which the promise God gave to Abraham would continue to be carried out. We see instead that Jacob deceives his father, deceives Esau, and through his cunning takes away that birthright and garners it for himself. And so where we're picking up is Jacob is on the run. He's on the run from his brother Esau after he deceived him, and he's also heading back to the homeland that Abraham left to find for himself there amongst his family and his people a wife. So let's pick up and see what God reveals to Jacob as he's on the road. So read with me. It says, Jacob left Beersheba and went towards Haran, and he came to a certain place and stayed there that night, because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in the place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east, into the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised to you. So here's what we see. Jacob is on the road. He's in a place that really doesn't have any significance yet. It's just another place where he goes to sleep. He grabs a rock, he gets this humble sleeping arrangement, probably a little uncomfortable, and he settles down to sleep. And in his sleep, God gives him a vision. And God gives him the vision of this ladder that connects heaven and connects earth. And he sees movement among this ladder. He sees the angels moving amongst this ladder. He sees activity. And what it's kind of reminiscent towards is of the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was a effort by humans, by man, to create a tower in which to reach to the heavens, to try and grab a hold of the heavens for themselves, reach God by their own terms. And what God is revealing to Jacob instead is, here's this ladder, here's this movement. See that I am doing a work to reach my people. I am reaching out to you, one who is a part of my promise, and that my promise that is part of the plan to regain all the nations. He's revealing to him, I'm at work. And I think this is such a gracious thing that Jacob, who the deceiver, the one who kind of tricked his way into garnering this inheritance, this birthright, God in his wisdom, his sovereignty, and his grace is revealing to Jacob, I'm going to be faithful to you. This is how I'm going to be at work. See it. And we see that he reiterates some of the same things he told Abraham, that your people will be many and that you will bless the nations. He says, trust me, I'm doing a work. If you will rest in me, you will see what I'll do. I will be with you until my promise is complete. And so we see that he reveals all this to Jacob, and then immediately Jacob, when he wakes up, he knows, I've just seen the Lord. And he immediately has reverence. And he sees value in the place, because this place now, this is where I encounter God. He calls it Bethel, the house of God, and says he even saw the gates of heaven, because he was at that moment given the opportunity to see God, to see the heavens, and to see God at work. So he has this reverence, and he even sets up a monument similar to how Abraham and Isaac and those before him set up monuments when they encountered God. He sets up this monument from his encounter with God, saying, oh, I have met him here. There's importance, there's significance. God is at work. And then this portion of scripture ends with, he kind of weirdly to us, Jacob making a vow to God. To us, we kind of think, was he wheeling and dealing again? Is he trying to manipulate the situation? But let's read his words and really try to sink into the meaning. Then Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And the stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. So it kind of feels like, to us, we kind of think, is he taking God's deal and saying, well, actually, these are the terms? We can get confused. We can think, what is he doing? And I think there's a couple ways we can understand this. First, there's this understanding that when we see God greet Jacob, he doesn't yet say, I am the Lord your God. God knows where Jacob's heart's at yet. Jacob has not yet surrendered his loyalty to God. He has not yet personally encountered and rested upon the Lord. And so when God addresses him, he's saying, this is who I am. This is the relationship I want with you. This is what I'm going to do. Rest in me. And then also, the terms and the way he says it is very reminiscent of covenantal language. This if one who does a little action expects loyalty in return. What Jacob is really saying is he's saying, Lord, okay, if you protect me like you say, if you bless me like you say, if you do all the things that you promise you will, if you are true to the character that you're revealing, if you are really who you say you are, then yes, my loyalty is yours. So it's definitely still coming to a place from some hesitance, some not fully trusting in the Lord. But what he is saying is, oh, well, if you prove yourself, I will not withhold my loyalty. If I see your grace, if I see your work, I will give you what you deserve. You deserve my heart. And so I think there's a couple of things we can take away. One is God's grace. God's grace that he would come to a deceiver like Jacob and would still choose to continue his promise through Jacob. And in God's wisdom and sovereignty, he chose to still continue his promise through a deceiver who stole his birthright, ran from his family, caused all that drama. He still chooses to complete what he's doing through that man and reveals this awesome glimpse of, this is how I'm at work, Jacob. I will keep my promise. Rest in me. And I think we can also learn from Jacob. I think at times we want the blessings of God, but we don't want to give him our full loyalty. But Jacob saw correctly, yeah, if you do what you say, if you are who you claim to be, which we all know God reveals himself to be true to everything, then you will have my loyalty. I won't withhold it from you. So may we be as bold in our doubts and struggles to say, Lord, if you continue to faithfully reveal that you are who you say you are, then the loyalty is yours. And we know through the evidence of Scripture, he will prove himself to be who he says he is. And we should give him our loyalty.